We went public February 14th. We de-SPAC'd. Since then, we've focused a lot on liability management, paying off a significant amount of debt, tapping into our ELOC when needed to either acquire people, potential companies, and or pay down our debt. So liability management has been a key focal point this year. Next year, it's going to be how do we continue to invest and grow?
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another online business briefing brought to you by SmallCapVoice.com, where we're going to shine a spotlight on some of the smartest and freshest plays out there in the market today. And when you talk about small cap stocks, this next stock that's traded on the Nasdaq, we've had him on the show recently. In fact, it was only a month ago, and 10,000 of you tuned in for that episode. And I want to thank you first and foremost for that. But Cycurion, ticker symbol CYCU, and their CEO, Kevin Kelly, came on and talked about how they have been able to take cybersecurity, and here's what it was. Here's the title of it anyways, Stopping Cyber Attacks in Their Tracks. It's very clever and it rhymes, but I'll tell you what, the company is so into it. I'm telling you, when you go back and watch that, if you're just tuning in now and you haven't seen our earlier interview with the company, you need to understand how they take it to the next level. They don't just tell you there's been a breach. They tell you which department the breach was in. And they don't tell you just which department. They can probably narrow it down to what floor it happened on. And so there's been so much news from this company. Again, it was only a month ago. And I had to have a note sheet here because November 5th, let me give you this one. Cycurion secures $1.1 million data modernization contract for one of America's largest counties. So that's a big validation when you start getting into the public and private sector and you're able to do both sides of it. This is obviously a government entity, further solidifying, love this, $73.6 million backlog and mission essential resilience. November 10th. Not to be outdone, Cycurion selected by, in the private sector, major telecom provider to modernize emergency warning network for leading U.S. government agency. Okay, so now we're spanning both verticals. This award underscores the confidence that our longstanding telecom partner places in Cycurion's expertise and commitment to mission-critical infrastructure. It's not outdone yet, not even close. November 14th. Cycurion reports their financials. Okay, 2025 results and strong momentum into Q4 2025. Run rate revenue climbing to $4.2 million in Q1 2026. Strategic investments in people and technology drive sustained growth. $80 million contract backlog and expanding pipeline. It keeps going. The month of November, are you getting the trend here? This is unbelievable. November 25th, Cycurion and IQStel, another company we've interviewed here, IQST. Strengthen strategic alliance. Pull up that headline. It's a long one, so I'm going to let you do that one yourself. And so they didn't stop in December. Why would they? Cycurion awarded statewide management and consulting services term contract by Florida Department of Management Services. I know my guest is standing by. I know at this point he's got to be blushing. Congratulations, Kevin. It's been a big month since we talked to you.
Yeah, I mean, Stuart, it's great. It's truly great to see you again, and we're really excited as an organization, and thanks for that great introduction. And I think what you're seeing is all of the hard work our team has put in over the last 9 months, actually the last 3 or 4 years, is coming to fruition, and we expect that trend to continue as we roll into 2006 because we have great momentum right now. Our technology is, as you mentioned earlier, is speaking for itself. It's AI based, it's unique, it's been well received, and we get great compliments on it because of the ease in which it is to present to senior management and or boards, and it's all in one place. You can look at it, you can figure out exactly in the organization if everything's running smoothly, if there's any hiccups, and it sends these signals out as you mentioned earlier to the clients very quickly. So we're fired up about the technology. You mentioned IQST. We're doing a lot of work with them, a couple press releases with them we sent out, but we're doing a lot of work with them in their R&D lab. And one of the exciting things about that was, as we talked about before, access to their clients and protecting their clients as well is paramount. And our technology just went very smoothly when it dovetailed with some of the stuff they're doing over there. So it's easy to use. It's easy to add on to other organizations' technologies, and we're fired up about it. We're excited about the momentum too.
As you should be. The subheadline on that one is both companies signal long-term commitment to each other, joint development plans, and a sibling company's vision for the future. The gist of the press release is they both invested more into each other. And congratulations again on an incredible month. The whole point of this interview was to really look back on what you've built moving forward into 2026 by what you've been able to accomplish in 2025. But I'm going to ask you, just for the people just tuning in for the very first time, just the cliff notes really quickly again, private and public sector. Talk to a little bit about what your mission critical is for your company. What is the mission statement for your company?
It's to help organizations protect themselves, giving them the ability to protect themselves. And I think one of the great lines we came up with last time is serving the underserved, right? And we hit that, which we've stuck with ever since your interview. So thanks for that. Because we see a market out there of small and medium enterprises who have not had the bandwidth, have not had the staff or the financial means to support and defend themselves. And with this new emergence of technologies and companies like Cycurion, who's been around now for 7 years, has 70 great employees, we enable them to protect themselves. They work great with us. They love our AI driven model. And historically, they were priced out of the market by major cybersecurity firms that we all know, whether it's CrowdStrike or Palantir. Their costs are for a lot of these organizations, the SMEs, insurmountable. And we're excited about that, both on the corporate side, as you mentioned, and on the government side. And we're doing a lot of great work in government space. Somebody was joking with me the other day. Some of the feedback is, "Why don't you mention your clients?" I'm like, "Well, we really can't because a lot of them are government entities, and they really don't want to know how we're serving them, how we're protecting them, because there's a lot of ears out there, right? So as we all know, so it's yeah, we have a lot of great things going, and going into next year, we're continuing to execute our strategy of 25% organic growth, as you've seen in the press releases, by adding great salespeople to serve those clients, and we have a portfolio now, or yeah, portfolio of potential acquisitions that we hope to get done sooner rather than later.
Well, two things there I wanna drill back into, and I'll start with one, and we're gonna pivot to the other one and come back to it. So you mentioned teams, you mentioned an investment into people, and that's a huge part of what your company is. But the delicate nature of what you do, and especially for your government clients, because you're right, you can't advertise these kind of things because you could actually open them up, make them more susceptible to breaches if you did. Now, we know you're in place, but this is a landscape where you're constantly on your feet. You've got to be on your toes, actually, because these cyber attacks, they're not going to quit. They're going to scale up. They're going to pivot. They're going to try to figure out another way in. And that's why these government entities, I would assume, are so, like you just said, they're grateful to have you in place.
Yes, we may have, I believe we touched upon this last time. There's been so many different emerging technologies. With the advent of AI, guess what? It opened that whole realm up to the adversaries as well. And as we talked about before, we have to be right 100% of the time. They have to be right, one time. And so all of these new technologies have also enabled the adversary to be trickier, to more diligent, to be more persistent, tenacious. Pick a word out there, but they're on top of it 24/7 with the algorithm. So that's why we're excited that we have the ARCS platform. It just combats a lot of these attacks. Not a
But like
lot,
I said,
all of the attacks, I should say.
you go all the time. You got to be
Yeah,
on.
that's
They
right.
only have to be right once. But as I pointed out at the beginning there, people, they're important to you. Your team, they're important to you. Pouring into them, the sales staff. Where does that come from in your upbringing as a leader, as a CEO?
Well, I think we talked about my background last time. I spent most of my career on the human capital side, developing and mentoring and coaching and placing CEOs and board members and executives in organization. Before 10 years ago, I flipped into the cybersecurity place. So I know how instrumental and key having the right people in place are. And what excites me about this conversation specifically is I'm excited that now we're getting the Cycurion brand out there, and whereas before we'd have to give the whole, "Hey, this is who we are. We started as a small company in 2018. This is how we've evolved." Now, because of great opportunities like this show, and some of the press releases that you mentioned and other things that we've got going on a marketing standpoint, we're actually seeing people come to us, right? So it's a good feeling to have, the table turned a little bit and have talent saying, "Hey, that could be a very exciting company. They're doing a lot of great things. Maybe that's a place I would like to work." And so that for me has been just a great way to go into December, knowing that we've taken these great strides this year, as you pointed out earlier, and we got the momentum going into 2026.
Yeah, and that's where I want to pivot to next. So let's talk about 2026. We've seen tremendous growth. We've seen this foundation we keep hammering on that your company has been able to build so far this year, and not only in just its verticals that it's servicing and catering to, but the sales staff growing, the name recognition and brand recognition you just pointed out. This is all kind of building towards, well, what in 2026?
Well, it's building towards a significant growth not only in the state and local and federal government side, but significant growth on the corporate side. And in addition to that, as we touched upon last time, in terms of the three pillars of government, corporate, and geography, and then the horizontal of products, we just signed a big contract in Latin America this week, actually. So that was pretty exciting to get that in place, and we're going to start expanding down there as well. So I aspire eventually, given the amount of work we may get in a certain year or a certain quarter, that we will grow internationally. But to answer your question, we spent a lot of the time this year right sizing our company. As you know, we went public February 14th. We de-SPACed. Since then, we've focused a lot on liability management, paying off a significant amount of debt, tapping into our ELOC when needed to either acquire people, potential companies, and or pay down our debt. So liability management has been a key focal point this year. Next year, it's going to be how do we continue to invest and grow organically by hiring a number of other people, given that, we touched upon the relationships with NATO last time, with Central Square, with IQST, with LSB. So all of these relationships now making sure we have the people in place, the quality people in place to support the potential we have with each and every one of these. Because right now, as I mentioned, I think in our last conversation, we're working in 2 states out of 50 with some of these clients that we're working or we're partnering with. So there's a huge opportunity in that business. Simultaneously, we're going to use our balance sheet. We're going to use our ELOC, and we're going to use our cash. We have a little over $3.5 million roughly in cash right now to go out and acquire companies that are going to be accretive, that are going to dovetail nicely with what we have today, and hopefully skew more towards delivering a fuller, more robust suite of products and services to our clients. So that's what we're going to do next year.
Well, I tell you what, you said balance sheet, you said liability management, you're talking to a former CFO, you're talking about the true hero at your company, your CFO, and the path to profitability. I'm not biased at all, and I'm not biased about college basketball either. I see the Duke behind you there. So San Diego State was my team, and boy, could you believe the run we had a couple of years ago? Okay, never.
Yeah,
Back on.
it was a great run. And by the way, I'm just very happy we beat Florida last night. So it was a good thing, given I live down here and I see Florida T-shirts and hats everywhere I go. So yeah.
All right, back on track. So let's close it out with a message to not only your current shareholders, but and we've talked, you just talked about international growth. You have an international set of existing shareholders. So in other words, your investors are from all over the world, which I think is, another big validation of what you're working on there. But potential investors, what's the story you want people to hear as we close out 2025?
I would say, hey, this is a great opportunity. It's not something where you're going to make money in a day. It's not a day trading stock where you think you're going to make a fortune in a day or 2 days or three. But I would say that if you're in it for 12 to 18 months, given the cleanup in the terms of the balance sheet we've done this year, getting all of our organizational structure intact, integrating the acquisitions that we did before, all going in the same direction, working together very well, working together with our clients very well, I would say that, 2026 for me is going to be a very, very exciting year. We have a lot of wonderful things lined up as a company. I'm very excited about some of the things. As you know, I can't share them all, but I would say this is a great stock, great company to invest in if you are there for the next 12, 18, 24 months. And if longer, I think it's going to be even better. So we have great things, great plans ahead. And, we just spent time with the board going through our strategy. They're excited about our strategy and 100% supportive of what we're going to do. Yeah, 2026 is going to be a year where you'll see further expansion on the corporate side, further expansion on acquiring new products and services, and bolstering all of the key areas that we focus on today with state and federal government.
That's a really candid response, and I like it because you know who else wasn't a day traded stock, and that would be Nvidia. So, I mean, a lot of the big giants today were they were tough early on and they were resilient early on, and then the market now, what are they're the big seven. So nothing of good comes overnight. And if it does, it's probably going to evaporate just as fast. So really love that response from you, Kevin. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. And again, kudos on a wonderful year. Great things I know will come your way in 2026. So congratulations to you and your entire team and that human capital that you've invested so much in.
Appreciate it, Stuart. It's truly always great to see you. So I enjoy our conversations.
All right, if you want to learn more about Cycurion, it's really easy to do so right here in this interview. Just scroll down. We're going to have all the links to socialize with them. You can leave us a comment or a question below. Of course, we're going to ask you to subscribe here and hit the like button if you enjoyed this interview. Take a good look at ticker symbol CYCU. It's a good one to add to your watch list, and potentially it might be a great one for your portfolio. So for Kevin Kelly, this is Stuart Smith saying thanks so much for tuning in.